What's up, guys? Welcome to the story of SKL. This is going to be the events that take place before the defeat of Blazer or anything we saw in the trailer recently with the Twilight Wanderer, which was absolutely incredible, by the way. That trailer has me so hyped up. So there's going to be a little backstory on Faria and then an interaction between her and Melgus. I really hope you guys like the way I put this together because it's going to be extremely quirky, so enjoy. So Faria had a brother named Lars and a sister called Charlotte. Lars was a very strong and powerful soldier. He kind of was very knowledgeable about everything. He was good at war. He was very talented and skilled in fighting in general. He was somewhat known as some kind of genius who was just really good at everything. But unlike Lars, his sister Charlotte, and of course Faria's sister Charlotte, they're a sibling of three. She was born very sick, and she had kind of like an unknown illness that made her extremely weak, and she was so kind of tired and sick all the time that she would just kind of stay in her room and not really have any friends, and her only friends were like the birds that visited her through the windows and everything like that. So though she was very kind of happy with her life, even though she was so sick, and as long as Faria and Lars could kind of live their lives to the fullest, she was happy for them. But of course, if you're in this type of situation, as a sibling, you're going to want the best for your family. So Lars tells Faria that he wants to go on this journey because he heard that past the volcano of Surto, there's this kind of person who can help heal her. And although no one from Faria's land has been past this volcano because they're very hostile to their land, so they can't get through it because they'll just get attacked. Lars says, there's no one else I can trust with this because I am this, so great warrior, and I have to go, see what's beyond the volcano for any chance that I can get to help my sister, because of course he wants to do the best he can to heal her if there's of course a heal out there. So he sets off on this journey, and Faria is now kind of the only one left that can take charge of their city. So she becomes of their land, I should get, I don't know why I said city, but of their lands. So she becomes the Queen of Gloria. So she's now the Queen of Gloria. And while, to her brother, she kind of has a straight face of, I can't do this without you, but if you have to go to save our sister, that's something I'm willing, to kind of let you go off to do. And she tries to stay strong, but when he leaves, she goes down to the river where she then just starts to cry because she's so worried that something's going to happen to her brother once she does cross that volcano and she's in Melgus's land now. He's in Melgus's land now. And she's just really upset. And this is 10 years before this time. She's not this age yet. I'm not quite certain if the old art was maybe the 10 years before. I mean, they don't really look anything similar, so I can't say if it's just alternative art or if it's actually the time frame that changes between the arts. But it's 10 years before this time. And while she's crying, kind of a little girl kind of comes up to her and says like, oh, so why are you crying? And you should of course trust in those who trust in you. And Faria explains that he's my brother and I don't want anything bad to happen to him. And Alice is just kind of comforting Faria and telling her that everything will be fine. Just kind of believe in him, and everything should just go the way that he has planned. And as Faria is crying, she then turns around to see who this person talking to her is, because she was kind of just talking to her while she was crying, and Alice is just gone. So she doesn't meet this person. She doesn't know their name. She just has this very brief kind of interaction with this little girl, and before she knows it, she's just gone the way she appeared. So it's a very mysterious interaction. Faria doesn't quite understand, but she kind of just doesn't really think much of it after that. And then we have a fast forward of 10 years. And she is now the Queen of Gloria, and she has Excalibur as her regalia. In the land of the Seven Kings, it's explained that regalias are kind of what give people power, the way magic stones did in Grimm's world. What's really important to note too is something I found really interesting is that there's a little passage in the story, if you do read up on it, that says that they still do have kind of magic stones that they use in their land, except they're called memorias, and they have the memories of certain just kind of past events or occurrences that happened, and if you use them in a specific way, you can kind of change the will of how that memory is supposed to kind of happen. And I think combined with your regalia, it kind of makes it special in some way. So just to break away from the story for just a split second to kind of speculate, but it's very possible that we might get a Memoria True Stone kind of thing where it's still kind of like legendary in a way and you can only have one of it on the field, and it might be like tap this and a Regalia instead of another magic stone, and then it would have a specific effect because you're combining the power of the Memoria and the Regalia. So that's actually a very important thing to note too. We might see something like that in the future as well. But just continuing on to the battlefield, Faria is getting attacked by Melgus. She gets reports from Percival saying that Melgus is at the gates and he's going to be attacking us any second now, so we have to get onto the battlefield to fight them off. And so they rush to the battlefield, and there's Melgus, of course. Percival notices that Melgus is holding the demon sword, which really worries him because, well, her, I should say. Sorry, I'm just used to Percival being a boy, but so she gets very worried because as Percival is, of course, like the master of Regalia, since on enter she can search any of them, but she notices that the demon sword is what Melgus is holding, and she knows the story behind it where whoever wields the demon sword kind of just has like these whispered thoughts come into their head. So the demon sword is kind of trying to manipulate you. And Percival says this out loud, and Melgus is just kind of like, no, there's no way, I'm controlling the Regalia and I will destroy everything, which is of course like what a crazy like controlled madman would sound like. So he doesn't even know he's totally under the influence of the demon sword, and it's forcing all this stuff to happen. And when Faria does know that, okay, he has a demon sword and I have Excalibur, but this is going to be a very dangerous fight, she asks everyone to step back, so all of her soldiers move back, and this is when the battle happens. So Faria and Melgus are just going at it like crazy, and I'll do some sound effects like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. So like their swords are just clashing, and Melgus kind of steps back and he's like, oh, I never thought that your Excalibur would be so strong, but it doesn't matter because I'm the one charmed by the demon sword, and I'll kill you all. And he's just like even more crazed, and Faria is not really worried because she knows that she's doing fine in this fight. So just then he starts charging his god art, and Faria is kind of getting prepared for this. But then he cheats since he's like all evil and everything, and he calls Lancelot over. And Lancelot is, of course, Faria kind of recognizes all of the knights because at one point they were all together, but he now has all of the ones that kind of strayed away and became a little crazed as well, because Lancelot's a little just like mad too. He just has this obsession of killing all of the other knights. So he calls upon Lancelot while he's charging his god ability so she can't stop him, and Lancelot shoots this like giant flame through his sword, trying to kind of engulf Faria in the flame so that she can't move. So if she's trapped in the fire, she won't be able to escape Melgus' god art. So once she's trapped, Melgus charges his god art and shoots it over at Faria, and then right when the explosion kind of happens and all the fires, there's a bunch of smoke and fire, Melgus is just kind of standing there, and Lancelot's kind of like, well, why do you seem so disappointed? I mean, you've never been so, we won this war, everything should be fine. Why do you seem so upset about killing her? Like you should be really happy. And he says that every single time he's ever used his god art to kill someone, he can feel like almost like the death coming through the flames and the smoke, but he just feels very empty wind from this destruction. And so as the flames slowly start kind of distinguishing, he notices that there's someone else standing there, and it's Alice, and she's kind of in like this white robe, and she's there's been kind of these reports going around that at one point around while this war was going on, that there was this girl kind of soaring through the sky and summoning these little minions out of like a chessboard, and having a very crazy amount of healing magic that can like even prevent death. And so he looks at her, and Faria just is like in shock that she's still alive, and she kind of notices that this girl kind of looks very, very familiar. And Lancelot's kind of displeased that it didn't go the way it is, so he just kind of walks away saying like, well, like that didn't work, so I'm not even going to care anymore. Just call me back when there's more knights to kill, because he's just so obsessed with that one objective. And Melgus is just like, well, we're going to retreat for now because this girl, saved you, but don't think that you're safe forever. Like, even if my god art doesn't kill you, like I will find a way to kill you. So he just retreats along with all of his army. And then Faria has an interaction with Alice where Faria is kind of like, I'm like so grateful that you saved me, like I need to know who you are, you look so familiar. And Alice says, you have it very lucky because you have this home that you have to protect, and I wasn't able to protect my home, and I have nowhere to go. So if I can help other people kind of save their lands, then that's something I'm going to do. And Faria asked her, well, what's your name? Like, what can I call you? And Alice, of course, says, well, my name is Alice. It's very nice to meet you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this brief story. I know it was kind of very short and quick, but we don't have a lot of information out just yet. This is what kind of happens in place of just the beginning of SKL with Faria and Melgus. It's very interesting to see how Alice is very, she says that she doesn't have, a home anymore and that she wasn't able to protect it. But even just being able to quote her actual line of, I'm Alice, it's so nice to meet you, is just very, she seems like she's such a positive person even though she's been through so much. And it's nice to know that, she's been through the world of, Grimm and helped Kaguya fight away the Cthulhus. And even though she had to kind of leave towards the end and not really be able to do it, she did kind of play her part with Lumia and stuff as well. And she's been through all these different worlds and she's done her best to help everyone she can. And it's just nice to see that, she just is like a really great person in general. And the way she helps Faria 10 years before this time and even comes back later on to just kind of keep helping her is really nice, especially because, not to go too much in the trailer because I might have a video, but if you did watch the trailer, which I'll try to remember to put a link in the description if you haven't seen it, but in the new trailer, you see that Faria sacrifices her life to save Alice from the Dark Alice, and it's nice to know that, if you look back to this moment, Alice did everything she could to protect Faria, so then Faria is kind of returning the favor. So I think it's like, knowing the story made that moment so much more bittersweet for me because it's kind of like, oh my god, like, she did everything she could to protect her, and then now she's like, sacrificing herself for Alice. So, this has just been a kind of like a quick story. If you guys do have any questions or anything, please leave a comment in the comment section below. If anything wasn't clear, let me know. It is mostly because like I said, it's a very, very short story. There wasn't much to go off of, so I had to go off of what, the information was out there. But the second we do get more story on maybe the battle that happens with Blazer and everything, I'll be sure to make a video on that too. And if you guys haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do because I have a ton of more content coming out. I don't know if you guys saw the post on Facebook, but I had kind of like a pro tip thing that's going to be coming next week. Kind of like how to identify good cards and what cards are worth running in certain colors and what just generally makes a card good, so that you can kind of identify them when making your decks as well. I also have kind of like what products you should be buying if you're a newer player, what I think the best investments you can make are, and then I have kind of a tournament video for CoreTCG coming too, just because we're doing a quick little change on the way the tournaments work. The pricing is going to change, but I'll mention that in a different video as well. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.